So I always liked, if I have the opportunity to have a discussion like that with somebody, to kind of lay that out. I saw a talk recently. This was the Monk debates that they had in Toronto. Jordan Peterson, Stephen
Pinker?
No, Stephen Lewis. Yeah, he's the British comedian, and then a couple of other people. But he, at one point, he said something that was kind of one of the more profound and concrete things that I took away from that talk was we're, as a society, he said, he feels that we're losing our ability to speak about ideas.
This is Peterson?
Playfully. No, that wasn't Peterson. Okay. That was he was on stage with Peterson. Okay. It was a Stephen, I'm pretty sure it was Stephen Lewis. And we're losing the ideas as a society to speak about ideas playfully, to adopt an idea or to hold an idea without necessarily saying, I'm committed to this idea. This idea is right, and you know what I mean?
Interesting.
To say, hey, to explore the idea.
Yeah, because you do that. Yeah, because like as you're coming up as a kid, that's kind of what you do, right? You latch onto an idea, you see if it fits a little bit, you take what does and you get rid of what doesn't, and that you're playing with concepts at that point, right?
Exactly, which is really important in development, I think. And even once developed, is really important in fleshing out ideas, especially if these ideas are foundational to society and the direction that it's going in.
Well, I've often thought that like it's really, really important in society to let people be wrong. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of the biggest issue that we have in our society right now. It's that scarlet letter mentality where like if I see you, if you do something that I don't agree with, I'm going to call you out. I'm going to tell you that I'm going to stand up for what I believe, which is a great thing to do.
Sure. Yeah.
Until you standing up is standing on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's funny because like you brought up Peterson, and he's such
polarizing.
Yeah, he's so polarizing, and like I mean he's in this city, right? So like I don't know if you've worked with him or met him or whatever, but like he's one of those figures that right now, especially like. I've seen him talk and always thought he was, and thought most of what he had to say was brilliant. I don't necessarily agree with everything he has to say, which is, true of every human being. Mm-hmm. But like to hear some people talk about him, it's like, gee, I didn't realize I was listening to Hitler. Like
yeah.
It's
and this is a reflexive way of vilifying people that's been adopted, and it's not helpful. It's like talk about his ideas. This is where I like, in the world of discussing ideas, I don't want to talk about right or left. I'd rather talk about what are your values. Mm-hmm. What's the and I've pushed people on this many times. Where righty, lefty, and I'm like, you want to call names? That's not a discussion for me.
Right.
You want to talk about values, and what is the value here? Is the value is human flourishing? Let's talk about this. And does this contribute to human flourishing? Do you think this? Do you think? And I personally I like the Socratic method. Ask questions.
Right.
Questions can be just as illuminating as being illuminated.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 100%.
That'll do it for this episode of the AVB Podcast. Don't forget you can subscribe to our full audio episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you find your audio podcasts. The full episodes, highlights, and our live off-the-floor performance videos can be found at our YouTube channel, and you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at the AVB Podcast. Of course, you'll find links to our incredible sponsors and this week's guest in the description below. The AVB Podcast is part of the Border City Network. Find more great content at bordercitynetwork.com. See you next time, folks. Bye-bye.